Welcome to a special episode. Welcome to blackdoctor.org, where wellness and culture connect. I'm your favorite girl, Dr. Cordai Decoto, board certified podiatrist, fellow of the Academy of Foot and Ankle Surgery, and a podiatrist for Neighborhood Health, a federal qualified health center in New Jersey, providing care for all, regardless of immigration status and or insurance, in the best in class for care. I am also the co-founder of Sisters in Podiatry, a Facebook focus group for Black women in podiatry within the United States and the Caribbean, and your host of this fabulous show. This show was started because the third arm of Talks with Dr. D is Sisters on the Vineyard, which is a solstice for health and wellness, financial literacy, and advocacy in its third year this year on lovely Martha's Vineyard, Oak Bluffs. I was privileged to meet these women and connect, where I can call them friends and colleagues. And JP Morgan Chase Bank was a sponsor for Sisters on the Vineyard last year, making sure that every patron understood how to get their money right. Because of this relationship, we said, why just keep it to the people who went there? Why don't we share it with the community at large? So I said, I know exactly who to pick as our moderator to make sure that these lovely boss women are being represented. What we want from you guys is to let us know, are you an amateur in money or are you a boss in money? And even if you're a boss, we could always learn. So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our moderator, my friend, Arkell Cox.
Hello, Dr. D.
Welcome.
How are
So let me tell you about Miss Arkell. Arkell Cox is a remarkable entrepreneur, an acclaimed author and film producer who has achieved great success through her visionary approach. She is a proud owner of three highly successful IHOP restaurants and has recently launched Matri, I think I'm saying that right? Matri Heart, a breathtaking jewelry line that reflects modern elegance and timeless charm. Her contributions to philanthropy and community service have received widespread recognition, demonstrating her commitment to making a positive impact. As the CEO of Diamond Girl Productions, she eagerly anticipates the next exciting chapter in her journey. Her mantra, love today like there's no tomorrow, a guiding principle that embodies her approach to life and business, inspiring all who come across her. Welcome, my friend, my Bajan sister, Arkell Cox.
Hello, Dr. D. You are so amazing. Thank you for that amazing intro. And for true. Yes. I'm super excited because, I'm just in awe with you, all the things that you do. Not only that you are an amazing doctor, surgeon, you're a sister, you're an activist, you are someone, you're just a caretaker for all. And I really appreciate our sisterhood, and I appreciate you sharing your platform with me this evening. I'm super excited because I like to chat up. So let's go.
To chat up. That's what we do.
Let's go. And so this evening we have the pleasure of introducing two amazing young ladies. I'm very fond of them. I'm fond of their drive and their tenacity. Also their passion of getting our community involved in the things that we need to have those serious conversations about. So the first young lady that I want to bring on today, I'm going to bring on Sadiera. So Sadiera is a dear friend of mine. Sadiera there she is. Look at the pretty little girl. She's so beautiful. So Sadiera, tonight we are going to lean upon you for a lot of expertise for things that we do not discuss in our communities. And it's things that we can, better our homes and our families and our futures. So can you just tell us just a little bit about you and what you do at JP Morgan Bank?
Absolutely. Hi, Arkell. And thank you again, Dr. D, for having me on your channel tonight. It's been a pleasure. I had the pleasure of speaking at the event that Dr. D just recapped, Sisters on the Vineyard, last summer. And a little bit about me. I'm so grateful to be here. It's Black History Month, so this means the world to me. And I'm an advisor at JP Morgan Private Bank. I'm a vice president. And I work with, high net worth clients, from anywhere on their balance sheet, whether it's investing, lending, or trusted estates planning. So those are my areas of expertise, and I'm just so happy to be here with you all tonight.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we can't wait to hear more about you and what you do. The next young lady that I would like to bring on is Sherkera. So Sherkera also is in business and financing, and Okay, I'm here for the background. I love it.
Hold on. We love the background as stepping forward with Dr.
Yes.
B because we step forward in them cute heels. And eventually those heels lead you to my office. So yay.
I love the intro. Okay, great. Sherkera, tell us a little bit about you and what you do as well. And welcome.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you ladies. And like Sadiera said, we had such a great time at Sisters on the Vineyard, bringing knowledge and information and resources to some powerful professionals that were on the vineyard in the summertime, and excited to hopefully be there again next year. My name is Sherkera Green. I've been in banking for over 20 years. I know I look like a baby, but I am so passionate in what we do is we help clients build, protect, and grow their assets. In my current role, I am a senior vice president business consultant, and I help business owners scale up their business, get access to capital, help them navigate their cash flow, just come up with really strong operational management and business development strategies, and help them build a team of trusted advisors. That's my day job. And outside of 9 to 5, as much as I love working for JP Morgan Chase, if God forbid anything happens to me, I can only leave my shares to my daughter. So I'm building an amazing real estate portfolio outside, which we'll talk a little bit about this evening. And I'm just super excited to be here this evening.
Oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed already. I can't wait.
I'm overwhelmed. One thing I want to say is that people are tuning in. Thank you, Lynn Hicks and Tinney from New York. We love it.
Okay,
keep watching and let us know. Are you a boss or are you an amateur? Arkell, take it over.
So, Sadiera, I want to start with you. I want you to tell us, what is the importance of us having these kind of discussions?
Absolutely. I think that, especially like given Black history, how we've grown up, right? Money obviously looked different in each household, right? And I feel like, especially for me and my family, right? Like our culture, money was always like a hush hush thing, right? If you got some money or if you came into some money, like nobody could know about it. It was like a secret, right? And I think now, I think our community is moving forward much more and at a much faster pace, because we're realizing that the wealth gap is so wide in America between, Black families and our counterparts. And I think it's so important to get comfortable as an individual and as a family, to wrap your arms around, money conversations early with your children, with your spouse, and even your friends, is to spread knowledge, because it's not a secret, and financial health is just as important as your regular health. So I think that it's so important to just highlight your assets, how they work for you, and how they're going to work for your family in the future.
Let me ask you a question about that. So you're saying that prior, it's been an experience that people really don't talk about it. What's a way that we can make this something that we don't keep hush hush? This is something that we want to make sure that we have these conversations at the dinner table. What would be some examples of, how we would go about that?
I think the first thing is self-acceptance, right? Like we always say the same thing, like, oh, the first thing you want to do is look in the mirror, right? Like the first thing we need to do as individuals with our finances is look at our individual finances. How am I utilizing my assets? How is my spending, right? Am I living above my means? Am I living below my means? Do I have extra income to invest in such things like real estate or stocks? Look at yourself first. And then look, if you don't, feel comfortable with telling a friend or a family member, you talk to a trusted advisor like me, or you talk to an accountant, you talk to an attorney. I would say, put your mask on, as they say, when you're on the plane first before you help others. And then once you do that, I feel like you can have those conversations with your family, because we don't want to be hypocritical, right? And so I think as a family, when you're sitting at the dinner table, it's just a conversation. Hey, and we say the same thing about health, right? Like, Mom, was there any breast cancer in our family? Was there any prostate cancer in our family? Like, how can we talk about these things and make it fun, make it conversational, right? Without being too intrusive with your family members. Say, listen, like, I think this is really important, and I really want you to understand how this works, and I really want our family to move forward and break those generational curses.
Before you continue, Arkell, we have you guys are popular tonight. We just like to give a special shout out. We see Donald Felder from South Carolina. Thank you, Donald Felder. Jacqueline Ama from Cali, West Coast. We appreciate you. Harriet Allen from Michigan. Sorority Sisters of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. We see you, Sora Anna Peppers from New Jersey. Yvonne Morris Phipps from New Jersey, and Quest Diagnostics is tuned in. Thank you, Desiree Highsmith. We see you from New Jersey. Thank you so much, Arkell.
Okay, so my next question is going to be for Sherkera. Sherkera, tell me, when we talk about finances and your health and your wellness, how does the two go together? How does your money, your finances impact your health, your well-being?
Oh, yeah. Excellent question. I mean, financial stress is one of like the leading causes for like anxiety, depression, even physical illness, headaches, high blood pressure, all the things that you can think about. And so when your money is funny, as my grandmother used to say, it impacts your health, right? You're stressed out. You're thinking about all these things. You're thinking about how can you rob Peter to pay Paul. So when things are in line, it's just like a house, right? When we keep our closets clean, when our houses are in order, when things have structure, you feel better about it. So it's important for communities like this to understand that there's resources out there, there's support, there's banks, there's institutions that can give you the tools and resources that you need to make sure that your finances is in order so that you can live your best healthy life, whether that's vacationing, whether it's just being healthy. Having healthy finances translates into having healthy wealth, is having your health wealthy as well. So I think that it's important to do, just like when you go to the doctors and you get a financial checkup, you should get 2 financial checkups per year, right? We advise that everyone meets with their financial advisors twice a year, and this financial advisor should be doing a full needs assessment. Just like when you go to the doctors, they're asking you questions, what are you feeling? What are your symptoms? We're going to ask you questions just like that, but pertaining to your finances. And then we make the best recommendation and solutions, or give you options and allow that client to figure out what's the best investment for them. So it's the same thing. And I encourage everyone, whether you bank with JP Morgan Chase or someplace else, to make sure that you have a solid financial advisor, that you're doing those 2 checkups twice a year.
So I have another question for you. With that being said, suppose your money is funny, right? So maybe you don't have $5,000-$10,000 in the bank. Is that something that you still recommend? People get an embarrassment, going back to what Sadiera said. They don't want to talk about things because maybe their monies, they feel like, why would I waste the time of my financial advisor, or to even go into a bank and say, I want to sit down and talk to you. I've only got $10,000 in the bank. Is that someone that you would still encourage to come in and speak and get a financial planning going?
Absolutely. Because there's so many ways to think outside of the box creatively that sometimes folks aren't thinking about. One strategy that I love to talk about is leveraging your credit, right? So what things are you putting on your credit every month? Are you getting points? Those points I use to offset, my gas expense for the month. So now where I think I might be living paycheck to paycheck, those reward points, if I'm comping my gas expense, now I've just found a way to have an additional $200 in my pocket, right? I recently suspended all of the cell phone insurance that I was paying revising, $15 per line, because now if I pay my bill with my credit card for that month, I get free cell phone insurance. Right. So now, look, I just found $45 with 3 lines right there, and I know with expenses and the recession and things being so expensive these days, everyone is bootstrapping for the most part, or trying to figure out ways, how do I do things smartly, right? How do I be a little bit more conservative when eggs are $13 right now, right? So it's thinking outside the box. So yes, even if you're not that person that's not affluent or wealthy or have much to invest, you still should be sitting with a financial advisor or a banker. You should be thinking about your insurance policies, right? Are you leveraging, maybe there's cash value that you can tap into? Are you a homeowner? That's why it's so important, because they're going to do that needs assessment and help you uncover things that you may have not been thinking about.
That is really good. And I'm about to cancel. I got 4 phones. I'm about to cancel 4 quarters insurance, because think about that. But this is why, Dr. D, this is so important. And we thank you for doing this, because I never thought about it. I've been paying insurance on 4 phones.
Yeah, I'm vexed now. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Let me go check the credit cards and see who's covered.
So thank you for that.
This is why free perks and benefits that you have on some of your credit cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone, we just wanted to also say, yes, Dr. Karen Myrie, thank you from New York. We're glad that you tune in. Ski-wee. And people are asking because they ask questions. I'm like, absolutely, put them in the comments. These women are the bosses and they will be able to answer them. So please feel free to ask questions. We're encouraging it. Okay.
Yes, we want your questions also. All right, so let's go back to Sadiera. Let's see, let's get a good one for you. All right, how does JP Morgan Private Bank work with the individuals, families, and private business owners? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Of course, yeah. Sherkera had the pleasure of attending my event with a guest. We did a private business advisory event 2 weeks ago for diverse business owners. It's Black History Month again, so I just want to highlight that and the importance of business owners, not only business owners, but diverse business owners, right? And what's going on in those markets that speak specifically to us. And I would say at JP Morgan Private Bank, or even, and I'll speak for the broader firm, right? I sit within the private bank, but JP Morgan is the largest financial institution in the world, right? And so I think we have different business lines, from my business line to Sherkera's business line with the small, as a senior business consultant working with small business owners. There's always a space for any individual, family, or business owner within our broader firm, right? But I would say at JP Morgan Private Bank, what we do is we meet the client where they are. And then, like Sherkera said earlier, we do a full needs assessment, something called a Wealth Plan Plus. And we take, obviously, everything adjusted for inflation. We take your spending, right? And this is where, back to my first point, like looking in the mirror, right? Like, let's put it all on paper. From, the less affluent to the wealthiest client, you would think that everyone knows, how much am I spending every month? Like, what does my overall balance sheet look like? How much am I going to need when I retire? Those are questions that individuals don't think about on a daily basis. But when you work with an advisor and you put it all down on paper and you look at it, what are my goals? Do I want to fund my children's college? Do I want to fund my grandchildren's educations? Do I want to leave my family any money, or do I want them to work hard? Right? It's interesting because you meet different families, and every individual family is going to be different. And you'd be surprised what people say, like, hey, I don't want to leave my kids anything. I want to leave it all to charity. Some individuals don't have children to leave their assets to. So they want to be philanthropic and give it to a private foundation or an organization that they that is near and dear to their heart. So I would say we meet them where they are, and then we point them in the right direction, right? Whether that's lending, right, like utilizing their balance sheet, utilizing assets to pledge in order to get liquidity when it's needed. Lending, we do lending at a very high level. We don't require any W-2s, so we do lending without any traditional income. So there's certain things that at the private bank that we can do to work with families. And for business owners, I wish you all could have seen that live. It was a private event, but we had our JP Morgan advisory team come in with our private business advisory team. And they just spoke about like what we do, right? Like if you have a letter of intent, from a potential buyer, how do you look at that? Which partners do you need to bring to the table when you are trying to sell your business? Do you have your attorney? Do you have your CPA, and do you have everyone on board within your business to go ahead and make that sell? And what if I don't want to sell my business? What if I want to keep it in the family? What if my children don't want to take over my business? Then what? And so there's just a step process that we have, and we have subject matter experts in every area of your balance sheet. And my job as an advisor is to just point those families in the right direction and put it all on paper and look at the entire balance sheet. So.
Wow, that's really good. What I'm hearing is banking, and for me to have businesses and have had to come to Chase and borrowed from Chase, and my mortgage is Chase, all of these things have changed, and I had no clue. I had no idea. It's no longer banking traditionally as my mother or my grandmother banked with you guys. It is so different. And this is why, again, I go back to saying this is why it's so important that we have these conversations, because now it's like you're giving me so much insight and so many different options of things that I would never think to say, hey, you know what? What would I do if my children didn't want to acquire the business? Then what are my choices? I didn't even know that would be something that I would speak to an advisor with. So this is really good. I hope your phones are ringing off the hook after tonight with everyone with their questions. This is good stuff.
Arkell, let me ask you one thing. I've seen the questions that are coming in, and I'm going to let them go for a while, and then Arkell will let us know when we can do questions. But I do want to give, again, additional shout outs. People keep logging on. Your Glossy Posse sister, Sophia Styling from New Jersey. We say hi, thank you. We have a bunch of others that are logging in. We just want to say thank you to everybody who is connecting with us. And no, Juanita Thompson from North Carolina, we see you. Thank you. So the questions that we have, we will answer. Arkell will let us know when it's time for question time, and we hope to get to all of them to educate you more. Arkell?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to Sherkera. Let me I know that you dabble with real estate. So let's talk about if sometimes people have, they may have an inheritance. They may have a little susu money, as the West Indians have, right? We may have a little something put aside. No, we really. And so if you have this passive income, in real estate, tell us, is that something that we can make the two of them work? What would you suggest people do with passive income and real estate?
Yeah, sure. So I feel as though, the fastest way for the average American to build wealth is through home ownership. You know, 42, let's back up a minute because I want to give some statistics, right? 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 42% say that if they had an emergency tomorrow, they wouldn't have $400 put away in a savings account to have access to for that emergency. So that tells you that most people are sort of bootstrapping, right? So having passive income today, where years ago it was an option, today it's not an option. You need to have a couple different things going on, especially with the way the economy is, the way jobs are here today, and you never know tomorrow if there's cutbacks. So one of the ways that I create passive income, and I'm always passionate about sharing, is through real estate. I have multiple properties that I've purchased, and I have tenants in them. I've started out of New Jersey. Of course, my primary residence is here in New Jersey, but my first investment property was in North Carolina. I had it built from the ground up for only $3,500. That was my down payment. The contractor that I work with took care of all of the closing costs. That house generates right now an additional $1,200 a month for me because every year I've been able to increase my rent, right? And my mortgage is only $600. Between taxes, insurance, and everything, it's only $600. In the state of North Carolina, property taxes are very cheap. But more so, am I getting richer for $1,000 a month? Absolutely not. Does it offset a bill? Absolutely. But what I'm more interested in is what is that house going to appraise and continue to appreciate year over year. So when I brought it, again, 100,000. I put 3,500 down. It's now worth over $225,000. So if I wanted to pull out the equity today, I have over $100,000 of equity that I can pull out. Now you can take that equity out and purchase your next home and continue to build wealth. And so I continued on with this strategy. And actually, if you see, many companies are doing this, many banks are doing this now, where they're buying single family homes all over the country and using this as a strategy to have additional passive income. Another way that I also have passive income is through a strategy called arbitrary, where I rent out apartments and sublease them, of course, with the landlord's permission, and that generates an additional $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Now you take that extra passive income that you're getting, and now I'm going to go by and meet with Sadiera and her team, and they're going to put together a strategy for me to buy whole life insurance policies, which every year I can tap into $30,000 to $50,000 and pull it out of my whole life insurance policy to continue on with my strategy of building a real estate portfolio. This is how Walt Disney brought Disney and created Disneyland. He had an idea, he tapped into his insurance policies, right? And of course, I do want to put a disclaimer out there that you do have to pay taxes on whatever you pull out of your insurance policy. So you want to make sure that you have a strategy and a plan that's going to make more money for you and make it make sense. But this is a concept that the average person could do. The average American, the single mom that's thinking about, how am I going to pay for college? How am I going to, pass down wealth to my children? This is an easy, simple formula. It's not as risky, and I was willing to do it, and it's been successful, and I've built a multi-million-dollar portfolio with it.
Wow. So impressive.
We'll be talking Sherkera.
Right. I love that. But to piggyback, my next question for you, Sadiera, is going to piggyback off of that. I want to ask you, if given the current market and this environment that we're in right now, what should families have on the top of their agendas right now? What should families be thinking about financially? What is the legacy that we should be thinking about?
well, I want to piggyback off Sherkera for 1 second. For the generational wealth, conversation is so important, right? And I think that goes back to looking in the mirror, starting with yourself, making wise investments, and then like, what can you leave to your children, right? And if you don't have children, what can you do to better the broader community? There's a housing crisis right now, right? The average American, like Sherkera said, it can't even afford groceries. So let alone a first-time home buyer, right? Like, rates are going to stay elevated. The Fed is not going to be cutting as much as we thought this year. The 10-year is at its highest that it's ever been in the last 13 years. So mortgage rates track against the 10-year treasury bond yield. And yields are going to stay elevated, and we don't think inflation is going to come down as quickly as we thought. So I would say, given the current market environment and current rate environment, I think it's important to really save, to really take a look at consumer spending. Consumer spending is still very strong. And what does that mean? Consumers are living above their means and or utilizing credit cards. And I don't mean utilizing credit cards and paying them off, in full at the end of them. I mean using them and carrying balances. And what does that do? Increase your debt. There's nothing worse than increasing your debt when you're already living above your means, or increasing your debt when you already can't afford to, put food on your table. So I think the most important thing for clients to do, and given the rate environment, is to just save as much as you can, or decrease spending. We just talked about it. Netflix, phone bills. Like, what are we doing that can save us and our families some additional income, and to think about the current environment moving forward, because right now rates are going to stay elevated, and inflation it is coming down, but numbers came in hot last week, and we don't think that it's going to be as quick as we thought for 2025.
Wow. So no Netflix. What do you think about that? Let's talk about that. That's a joke, but it's not a joke. So if you were to go to your family and say, you know what, maybe we just discontinue Netflix for 6 months. Is that something that you would tell your clients? It doesn't have to be something it can be temporary. It doesn't have to be, but these are changes that I think it's important that you make with the family, so they understand the times. They understand that right now the market is different. Everything is different. As you said, rates are getting higher. They're not going down. This $12 for eggs. I just found I had cholesterol, so I'm glad that eggs is $12 and I could lay off of them. But okay, we got. But in all honesty, these are things we really need to think about. Sit your families down and have these conversations. It's not just for the head of the household, because if we're not sitting our families down as our communities first and having the conversations that, don't lose that phone because I'm taking the insurance off of it. We're going to maybe get rid of the Netflix and everything else in these games and these apps that you have. I'm sure if we sat and we looked at how many apps our children have between $2 and $29 and $100 a month, that's a couple $100. But for me, I'm guilty of this as well. I don't want to take the time to go through line by line. And so when I did that a couple of weeks ago, on one of my daughter's Amaxes, we found there was $240 that's been on there for a couple of years now that I didn't catch. And I said, what? It's now that I'm doing the forensics. And I think those are things that we should do. If you're going to do these twice a year checkups, as you said, Sherkera, then we should probably do our own personal, investigation of our finances, because it's important. We will find monies there as well. It's like finding money in the couch. You're going to find it.
An old jacket.
Right. You're just going to find it. So okay, I'm so sorry about that. I thought I muted that. So I have a question for you, Sherkera, and then I'm gonna ask you both the same question because it's important. And if there's something that you have in your heart that you want to say, then you can address us as well. But Sherkera, I'm gonna ask you, what advice, knowing that the world of finances, you two are experts at what you do. And I've sat with you both in two different spaces, and I trust you with my finances. And so what would you tell your younger self with all that you know now, with all them pretty shoes and everything in the background? What would you tell your younger self?
Well, I would tell my younger self to invest way earlier than when I started, right? I probably would be at 100 houses right now had I not brought the shoes, the bags, the trips. But, you live and you learn. When you know better, you do better.
What age would you say?
Your very first job. And I'm going to tell you, one of my first jobs was working at the Gap. And there was a young lady there who was a manager. She took a liking to me. I was maybe, what, 16, 17 years old. And she sat me down during orientation. And when she's going through the checklist, she said, "You're going to invest in stocks." And I'm like, "Stocks? What's that?" She's like, "You're going to buy into Gap. Since you work here, you're going to reinvest a portion of your paycheck back into the company." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. You could skip that because I can't afford that." And she said, "Well, how much are you making now?" I said, "I'm making nothing." She says, "Well, whatever you get is going to be more than what you have now. So you can afford to put a little bit aside and put it into stocks." When I left the Gap, that was 3 years later, I was going to college. I pulled out and sold my stocks $4,000, and that's how I purchased my first vehicle. I was raised by a single mom, Jersey City. She didn't have it. So for me to cash out on $4,000 stock going to college, it allowed me to buy my first computer. It allowed me to get my car, and I had a little change in my pocket, outside of what financial aid provided me at the time going to college. So I would tell my younger self, invest early. Invest early. Don't, like, even if it's just $100, get into stocks, invest in the companies that you believe in. When during the pandemic, I bought a bunch of Delta stock. I bought a bunch of United stock because I love to travel. And I knew that eventually the whole world was going to come back. Now, look, you're at the airports and you can't even get a flight these days, right? But
Right.
my point is, look into companies that you believe in and just put a couple dollars into it. I promise you, you will see the return on your investment, or sit with someone that can help you put together a very safe strategy. So
Mm,
that's what I would tell my younger self: invest early.
okay. Sadiera, how about you?
I think I've always been invested pretty early because I saw it like my family, right? Like, I'm from Newark, New Jersey, raised by my grandmother. And, she worked very hard. God rest her soul. She retired from Northern State Prison, and she put us through private school, Catholic school. And I always knew, I was like, you know what? I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I do want to have assets as I grow older. So I started investing into my Roth IRA when I was 19 years old. And I am truly grateful for that because, today, as an advisor, we do get company stock, we do get these things, and I can share them with my children, right? And I can share it with my friends and my family, and you all. And but what I would tell my younger self is that, it's so important to see a Black woman in these spaces, and you will be successful, and you do deserve a seat at the table, and you will be great at what you do, and you will shine, being the only Black female advisor in JP Morgan Private Bank in New Jersey. So I would just tell my younger self to just stay confident, believe in yourself, and you do deserve to be where you will eventually be one day.
Let me interject. Like what you just said, first of all, to have these, I mean, these women are under 50, some, maybe even under 40. We're not going to tell you what their ages are because none of your business. But to have these Black, well, good Black don't crack, but to have these Black women who are, I know, Sadiera, I think you're the only one. Am I correct?
Yeah.
It's you. That's it. I felt that space where
I
I've
was
been
the
in,
only one.
and Sherkera, you too. I've had that space where I've been in the OR sometimes, looking to the left and to the right, and it's just me, the only chocolate chip. So when I'm in spaces where I see, I don't mind it in terms if I'm going to motivate the next young doctor to be like me. And when I do have hospitals where there's a bunch of people who look like me, it excites me. I think we just get excited when we see each other, like, yay, because it shows that we're doing it. And you women are doing it. So thank you, because the questions coming in, I can't wait till Arkell is ready because they're good questions and you're
Well,
inspirational.
so let me just say this, right? So I'm going to answer that question that I asked. I'm going to answer it myself as well. The advice I would give my younger self is that what I realized, I'm a widow, and so when my husband passed away, I was left like in a whirlwind. I didn't know what to do because he paid the bills, he took care of everything, and I took care of the children. And so I think it's never too late to start whatever it is that is going to inspire you and to help you create your legacy. For me, it's all about legacy. You ladies, Sherkera, Sadiera, you are about building legacy. And I feel like we're blessed to have you guys in our circle.
We
We are
are.
so blessed. We sit down, we have conversations, we go away, we fellowship, but the knowledge that you can give us, you're never too old to create new businesses, ideas, inventions, investments. And I've learned that from the two of you. as well in the last couple of months. And Dr. D, again, we are so grateful because your foresight, you are just you see a niche and you come together. You know, you would never think that we would be on here talking about finances, but this
At
is
six
what you
o'clock on
do.
a Sunday, on a Friday. I'm like, okay, but
Friday
this
night, and you're looking great, ladies. So let's go to some. Well, let me ask the ladies first before we go to a couple of questions. Is there anything that you want to let us know about your business, about finances? I do want to ask either one of you. I want to talk about one thing before we go into your guys' closing. I want you to tell us. Either one can jump in, or both of you. Estate planning. People do not want to estate plan because they're saying, I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s. What am I estate planning? I don't have an estate. And so in their mindsets, estate is having the home, businesses. And that's not right. We're shaking our heads because that's not true. So let's just touch on that real quickly because I think that's important that we need to change that narrative.
Yeah, I
So
can. I can take that one quickly, and then I'll pass it to Sherkera quickly. But I think it's just so important, and that's one of the things that I highlighted on the Vineyard when we did the Sisters on the Vineyard panel, because I just that's my favorite part about being an advisor. That's the most important part of the balance sheet. Anybody can do investments. You can do self-directed investments. There are a lot of other wirehouses besides JP Morgan that do great investments, right? But what do we do best, right? And I think it's looking at the full balance sheet and advising clients on how to successfully transfer their wealth. And like you said, everybody wants to maintain their wealth. Everybody wants to grow their wealth. But what about wealth transfer? We don't know when our last day on earth is going to be. And I just think it's so important. And like you said, it's such a sensitive topic because we don't want to talk about dying, right? Like nobody wants to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But, and I think we highlighted some key points earlier, like, it doesn't matter if I don't have the $1 million. It doesn't matter if I don't have the big house and whatever. If you have $10,000, get yourself a life insurance policy. That's one thing I highlight all the time. If you don't have it, that's the number one thing that you can do to transfer wealth to your kids and your family. Black people, when we pass away, a GoFundMe.
GoFundMe kills me.
We can't afford to bury our mother and our father and our aunts. Like, why is that? Because we don't have life insurance. Even if you do not have the money, you can afford $10 a month. You can afford $15 a month. You can afford $25 a month. And even if it's just enough to bury you, take that burden off your family, right? Take that burden off your family. Let them, bury you and put you away nicely. That's just the bare minimum, right? But when we talk about business owners, when we talk about investments, how are your assets titled? Do you have trust? Is your business, can you gift, business interests to your trust? Can you, gift, or can you transfer your house or your into the name of an LLC under a trust? It can get very complex. And I think that we work with the most complex balance sheets at JP Morgan. But I think that's my favorite part about being an advisor is talking about wealth transfer and wealth preservation, because it's just so important. I think it's an important topic that people miss and frankly just don't want to talk about. So I can let Kira, speak on it, but I think it's just super important.
No, I think Sadiera hit it on a nail, right? Like, we help you build, protect, and grow your assets. And you got to be thinking about all three of those. How are you protecting? Wealth transfer is important. I know I want to make sure that when God forbid I pass, my daughters aren't stuck paying taxes on things that I've worked so hard for them to inherit, right? So having that conversation about trust, getting a trust advisor to help you make that transfer is important. And then just thank you so much, Dr. D. Like, it's just so important to have these conversations because men share, and women, we sometimes don't. We gatekeep. And so, Arkell, it is just an honor to hear you say that you really appreciate how we share any resources and knowledge that we have, because as women, particularly women, we really need to share this information and not be so competitive, right? Like Sadiera will tell you, as soon as I find out who she was, I reached out to her. I've always been that one. When I make it to the top, I'm going to bring the next girl back up with me. And that's what it's about, sharing information. It's not just about you. When I die, I'm no longer working for my resume. I'm working for my eulogy. And it's what do I want people to say when I'm no longer here. And so to reach me, you guys can follow me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I respond to every text, every DM. My email address, Sherkera.t@chase. Yes, DM me if you want to set up a one-on-one consultation.
Here,
If
I'm
you
going
are
to
a
put your
business
hold
owner.
on. Wait. Shakera. I'm
Yes.
putting it in right now. Shakera,
I'm
what
on
do you are? Shakera?
Instagram, I am _ Sherkera Green.
Okay, hold on.
LinkedIn, Sherkera Green. My email, shakera.t.green@chase.com. I will do a one-on-one consultation. If there's any business owners out there that is interested in the Coaching for Impact program, I would be more than honored to work with you. It's a 4-month free consultation program. No charge to you, complimentary to you. Chase is fit in the bill. And I'd love to help you work with your business and help you scale it up. And so with Sadiera.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on LinkedIn, and we can chat there. And I'm more than happy to sit with your family. You know, I'm in the private bank in New Jersey, and I work with the wealthiest families in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. So always happy to be of assistance. Sherkera and I work very close together. So don't forget us. Don't forget us. And we love to answer any questions, Arkell, if you want to open it up.
Before you
Yep.
open it up, Arkell, which I want you to, I just want to say that what you were saying about life, and this is the medical part now, having a whole life policy and a term life policy are important. The whole life policy is a vehicle for wealth management. Your short term, even if you can form what she was talking about, which is a term life, you pay $10 a month to make sure when the time comes that you can be buried. We're not GoFunding me. That's when somebody's going through grief, your family, the last thing they want to worry about is how are we going to bury you? Being a cancer survivor, as we all know on the show, that was big for me. So I have both, where I made sure that, God forbid, if I didn't make it, that my sister, who I consider my executor, would be not stressed in any form or fashion. And I'd like, take the money and give it to my niece and nephew, take mommy and daddy somewhere, what have you. So I implore you, health is wealth, but wealth is health. Arkell.
Absolutely. And I will say this much. I remember my first real job at 21. My mother said to me, "You're going to give me $25 a month." And I'm like, $25 a month? And she was like, "It's for life insurance." And I remember someone coming to the house and taking blood. And I've had my first life insurance policy since I was 21 years old. So it can be those things that we can do. When I opened my businesses, each store paid for each child's college. We put those monies away, and that's how we do it. I create these entities, but these entities are avenues for each child. So it'll pay for this one's college. But then after college is done, this entity will continue to grow in their legacy. And then they can use the monies to buy a car or a condo. And that's what the mindset is. And I think Sherkera, you said it. We need to sit and have these conversations. And these 4 women on this call, we have been in, intimate settings, and we've been in business settings, but we share and we don't hoard the information, because we're not going to get better as a community if we don't share. So again, Dr. D, Sherkera, Sadiera, we are so grateful for you guys to not hoard the information, but to make us better. And I'm going to open up the questions right now. So Dr. D, we can open up these questions. I know we have quite a few here. So if you want to, we have time. Yep. We got about
Do you want me to pitch the questions, or would you like to pitch the questions?
you can pitch them and we can jump in.
All righty, because I think these, all for you. Let me back up. So someone said, Lynn Hickson Tinney said, I'm going to be random. I'm retired, no debt, house paid off. All right, sis. Where can I transfer my 401k to continue earning interest on it? Who wants to take that question?
Take that one. That can be a self-directed account, or it could be a wirehouse like JP Morgan, right? And you would transfer your 401k if it's still sitting at your prior employer. You can transfer that, and it would become an IRA, an individual retirement account. You can invest anything. I don't know how old you are, Lynn, but you don't have to start taking those required minimum distributions until you're 73. And so you can watch that money grow tax deferred. And even after you're 73, you can still watch it grow, but you have to take what is called an RMD once you turn 73 by April of that year. And so I would transfer it to a financial institution, or it would be a brokerage account or a managed account, depending on how much is in there. And it would become an IRA, and then you can continue to invest in whatever you like within that vehicle.
Yeah. And I'll just add one comment to those that aren't in this amazing young lady's position where she's already retired, you should be getting either a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. A traditional IRA, the government says this money you can invest it and it could grow, and then when you get of age, you'll pay taxes on it then. A Roth IRA, you're going to pay taxes on it now. So when you start to take the distribution, the taxes are already deducted. And this you can create this outside of your 401k or your pension. And the government, just Google, it'll tell you what you're allowed to do per year. And some of you may be 5,000, others it may be 75. It depends on how you file, whether it's single or joint. Those limits could be looked up online, or you can come in and speak with the financial advisor and we could help you with that as well. But yes, you should have a separate IRA outside your 401k and pension.
Next question. And we have a bunch, so I'm going to ask you guys to keep it succinct because everybody got a question. This is from Donald Felder. He says, I'm a homeowner and a timeshare owner. Can I make money on my timeshare? That's a great question.
Yes. So you want to contact the timeshare and find out what are their restrictions, right? I actually just helped a young lady with this in my Coaching for Impact program. She's a business owner, but also has a timeshare. And we were able to find out that she was able to sublease it. And actually, they manage the guests for her. They take a particular fee out every single month, but she was able to increase her profit and passive income. So yes, some timeshares do allow you to do it. You just need to find out what the restrictions and rules are with the one that you're particularly invested in.
Dr. D, I have a really good one here. So this is Cordell Morris. And what is
Story Yvonne Phipps? That's my girl.
Okay.
Auntie.
Okay, so this is a good one. I want to know this as well. What is the best way to access the equity from your home, especially if you don't have a mortgage?
You would simply just take out the equity. You would get another mortgage, take out the equity. Obviously, you want to get everything appraised, and then you would take out the equity, and then you can invest it. You can invest it, or you can buy another property. But I would definitely, obviously see how much you want to take out. Don't take out too much, given the current rate environment. Interest rates are currently 7%. If you are a private bank client, we do have special interest rates for clients who have, even if it's not a jumbo loan, we do have special rates and different things that you can do, right? You can pledge assets in order to get liquidity, and you don't necessarily have to take out a mortgage. So I would say, take a look at other options besides your house. If you have assets to pledge that are securities within an investment portfolio, we don't even do any underwriting on that. You can just get 50% of LTV right away, and we'll give you a line of credit. No ifs, ands, or buts. And that's just at the private bank level. But there's so many different things you can do to get creative. But I would say, obviously get everything appraised and take a look at how much you want to take out and think about what you want to get invested in before you go ahead and pull the equity out.
Yeah. And one quick add, decide whether you want a home equity loan, which is a fixed loan. Okay, again, what Sadiera just said, the rate may be 7% right now. It's fixed. You borrow that amount. Once you use it, you start paying monthly payments on interest and taxes. With the line of credit, it's going to be adjustable, but you only get charged on what you use. So if you set it up for 150,000, that 150,000 stays available to you. If you only borrow 10, then you only pay interest on the 10, but it is an adjustable rate. So you got to think about what are you going to use the money for and how are you going to invest it. And I'd love to talk to you offline.
Okay. I want to say one thing. Valerie Ware-Hayes, thank you from Rochdale Village, Jamaica, Queens. Ruth Williams, Miss Caruth from New Jersey, thank you, thank you. I'll throw another question out there. Somebody said, here we go. Because of what you said about the $3,500 home, Donald Felder asked, I know it's hard to find homes that will appreciate. How do you buy a home for that amount? And he has a 401k and also another investment. So he's trying to figure out how to make more property based on what you said, Sherkera. I'll let you take that.
Okay. So the contractor that I use, you can go on their website. It's centuryhomes.com. Again, not gatekeeping. Centuryhomes.com. They are amazing. It was owned by a Black man named Wade Journey. He sold it to this particular company because he was retiring. Again, that was years ago. That was a good 5-6 years ago. Now the average home for them to buy and build up is starting around $220. I just looked at their website about a week ago. So you're not going to get a house built for $100,000 today, right? But $220 is still a pretty reasonable amount than what you could get in New Jersey. And you just want to see what programs. Again, they're always doing things where if you use their lender, so I did not use JP Morgan Chase, I used their lender, but the reason why is because he waived all of the closing costs, so I only had to come up with the down payment. But visit their website, it's centuryhomes.com.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Arkell, you're going to take over.
Yep. So I do have another question for you ladies. Someone wants to know, what is the best way to have their pension work for them?
Well, I would say every company is different because there might be certain restrictions. There might be certain an age where you can, and pensions are becoming a thing of the past, right? We know a lot of companies aren't even offering them anymore, which is a bummer. But depending on if you're retired or not, you might have to leave that money in an investable vehicle. So I'll just use one of my clients as an example. His pension, he had to leave it in his company, but it was invested in the S&P 500, over the course of his career. And we're talking 30 years, right? So that's a huge pot of assets. So when he retired, he was able to pull that out, right? Or, they said it depends on your company again, because you can set it up and you can do deferred comp. And you can get that those distributions over the rest of your life, right? So my particular client is getting, a sizable amount of income per month from that pension because he left it there, and then he's going to get it. And we treat that as his fixed income, right, for the month. So we invest differently based on each individual client. So I would say it depends on the company you're working for, and it depends on the rules that particular pension has. But
okay. That's good. I do want to mention once again that these ladies are available. As Sherkera say, she's even in the DMs. You can find them, and these are really good questions. And I want you to understand, for me initially, when we first met, ladies, and I think we were probably we were in Martha's Vineyard, and we were all on the same panel, and I was just so impressed with your knowledge. And so there was nothing that these two women combined could not answer about, investments, in financing, how to and where to put your money, when to spend the money, when not to spend monies. And so I really, 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 really hope that there's questions coming in, and I really do hope that you guys will take the time to make an appointment with them, take them out for coffee or tea or something, and really get the information, because I didn't have this when I was growing up. I didn't have someone to guide and lead me, especially someone that looked like me. The look like me part is very important.
Can't beat that with a spit.
You can't beat that. And so that is even to you, Dr. D, for us to be able to have those in the room that can guide us and help us with our legacies and in our investments and our estate plannings. This is invaluable. So take advantage and make sure we're all on LinkedIn. You can find us and get these questions asked, and let's make this wealth and make sure that we are transferring it on to the children or to your charities or to your churches. And somebody asked me earlier today when they found out I was going to be on this, they said, I give a big portion, maybe answer this because I think they're on the call. I don't want to call them out, but how do I give a lot of monies to my church. We do know that is a tax write-off as well. But they said to me, they was wondering, with that money would they give to the church, is there something else that they should be doing? I don't know if that's a personal question or not, but I know that is a tax write-off. And that's what I said. That is something you write off in your taxes.
It's a very personal question, right? And I think we have something called a donor advised fund, and I don't want to get too granular because I just want to speak at a high level on this call. But there are vehicles that you can get an immediate charitable deduction, and it's called a DAF, which is a donor advised fund. So let's just say I want to donate $10,000, right? Or I want that immediate write-off, but I don't know who I want to donate it to, or I want to wait. So I can open up a charitable checking account, which is, in layman's terms, what we call a DAF, a donor advised fund. So I would donate or transfer, or even if it's cash or appreciated stock that I want to put into my donor advised fund, I can let it sit and grow. I can get that immediate tax deduction, and then I can decide, hey, I want to give this to the United Way, or I want to give this to the Red Cross. Like that is a powerful vehicle that a lot of my clients use that are philanthropic, because it allows them to get that immediate tax deduction without necessarily deploying those assets right away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I had a couple people ask, how do we get our question asked? Just go ahead and join the chat. You can drop your question in there. We have uh, less than 5 minutes. So if there's anything that you want to ask, just go ahead and write it in there.
We have time for one more question, but because this was so popular, I mean, people are like, oh, I think that there has to be a part two. No, I'm giving the big wink. So I would hope that these wonderful, beautiful ladies, my friends, would indulge me by doing a part two. Because I think that this was just a tip of the iceberg. And obviously, we'll talk offline. But again, I put the information to find Sherkera Green and Sadiera Crawford, Arkell. You are at Arkell Cox on Instagram. We know that. So find these ladies, have the teas, have the setups, but look for a part two. Dose. So there's another question. We can quickly take it, and then I'll have some closing remarks.
Let's see. Well, I think we've gotten them all. We've got a lot of thank yous. We do have people saying that we want more. When are we coming back on? And we know that we cannot say no to you, Dr. D. So whenever you call, I know I speak for my sisters on the call as well. We will be here for you. And we chop it up offline, guys, as well. We're on the phone all the time. So we don't look like we have another question, Dr. D. Did you see anything that I missed?
No, I will take over then. So I'd like to thank, first of all, we'd like to thank blackdoctor.org for having a platform where anyone, regardless of color, race, ethnicity, can come, but it definitely supports the African American diaspora and community at large. All are welcomed. Stepping Forward with Dr. D is a monthly show that happens the first Wednesday of every month that deals with all things of the foot, ankle, leg, below the knee, because a lot of times we don't see people in podiatry who look like us or may not have the questions. People are losing their legs left and right. There's certain countries that have a high limb loss, even the United States being one of the most advanced countries, we still have a lot of limb loss. So that was important to make sure that we understood how to prevent it and questions that sometimes you're not asking your doctor. Beyond that, Talks with Dr. D is a three-pillared approach. Again, we have Stepping Forward with Dr. D monthly. We have Talks with Dr. D breast cancer. If you go on my YouTube page, everything that you see is recorded. So this is recorded. Don't think, oh, I missed it. You can see everything as well as blackdoctor.org's YouTube. But you can check out everything with breast cancer, my journey, and my future business, which will be a breast cancer consulting company coming to you soon. Next surprise is that people who are in the tri-state, I would say mostly New York, New Jersey, I am coming back to Essex County to practice. And I'll tell you more about that. You'll have to find out from my YouTube and my social media where, what, and how, and who. We appreciate that. And the biggest thing is Sisters on the Vineyard. Sisters on the Vineyard is a solstice, again, for health and wellness, financial literacy, as you see here with JP Morgan Chase Bank, and advocacy. Arkell Cox blessed us with her advocacy for colorectal cancer. And I'll let her give a plug in 1 second about next month. What does that mean? We'd love you to come. It's August 12th on Vineyard at Oak Bluffs. More information to come on our social media. All of us will have it on our social media. And we invite you to be a patron. It is fabulous. We look fabulous. We know you look fabulous. And the information, being in a relaxed setting, enjoying sipping on a cocktail and chit-chatting with folks, is something that you can't beat. So Arkell, you can find me before I close out, and I want Arkell to say something. Talks with Dr. D. Dr. D is everywhere on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram. Talks with Dr. D. Arkell, give us a plug and close us out. You have 1 minute.
Okay, real quickly, I just want to remind everyone that next month is National Colorectal Cancer Month. I am wearing the cobalt blue. Sherkera is wearing as well. And so we want to have that conversation with everyone at the dinner table to make sure and go and get your checked out. Let's make sure that our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, that they're getting the colonoscopies. We don't have to die of colon cancer. And so next month, if you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you'll find everywhere that we're going to be speaking. Downstate Hospital, Christian Cultural Center. There's so much more, but we really need to get the message out there as well for colorectal cancer. No one has to die from that cowardly cancer. And I just want to thank you all for coming out and taking your time on this Friday night to be here with us. We appreciate you, Dr. D. We are always appreciative of all things that you do.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much, everyone. And we hope to see you soon. Have a good night. Be well.
Good night.
Be blessed.
Good night,
and we
everyone.
Thank you. And we will see you next week, Wednesday, for Stepping Forward with Dr. D, as we hit Women's History Month, having one of the baddest practices in Manhattan, talking about an all-female practice and how that makes them different. So tune in to find out the who, the what, and the why. And with that, we sign off and wish you a happy Black History Month. Goodbye.
Yes. Bye.